broadcasting live out of a basement in Appleton, Wisconsin. You're tuned into Fox Cities Core on WCZR Code Zero Radio. We're the show that gives you an opportunity to call in and be a part of the show. Our call-in line is 920-358-0795. Core. Hello everybody, welcome to Fox Cities Core on WCZR Code Zero Radio. If this is your first time tuning in, WCZR is an independent rock station streaming out of Appleton, Wisconsin. Tune in, you're going to hear a lot of great local music right alongside your mainstream favorites. It is amazing how well the two blend in, and it's just a testament to how much talent we have out of this area. Which brings me to our next guests. Based out of Green Bay, Wisconsin, my next guests have been described as dance rock with a lot of synths. They recently took home 2 awards at the inaugural Bammy Awards up in Green Bay. They've got a new EP coming out called Near Dark on April 19th. They also make up Superfriends Productions, which we're going to find out more about. I'd like to welcome Collin and Charlie to Fox Cities Core. How are you guys doing today?
Spectacular.
Oh, we're alive and well. We got probably 4 hours of sleep today, and we're ready to rock.
Ready.
And Charlie, you celebrated a birthday last night, and I was a little worried and impressed that you guys announced that you were going to play Mario on N64 until you conquered the game, and then come here, which I was sweating a little bit. But can they do it? I'm not sure, but you did it.
We did it, and I felt so accomplished just beating Final Bowser with my friend Collin. It was a great moment.
All it was to me was like trying to, because during like that 2021 kind of area, I wasn't doing anything, so I just worked on getting better at Super Mario 64 because I had nothing better to do with my life.
Yeah.
So like it took us 90 minutes to beat Final Bowser. Everyone's like, you need 70 stars. I'm like, no, you only need 60. You need 15, and then you use the rabbit to. I could go down a rabbit hole about this. We're gonna move forward.
Don't let anyone tell you how many stars you need to beat Mario 64. They're not telling the truth.
Well, I watched the beginning of it. It was funny because I think, Collin, were you dusting the TV off?
We went through 3 iterations of TVs because I had a capture card, but it wasn't working. And then I just tried to call my roommate, couldn't reach him. The glasses are already off.
The glasses are off.
And so I borrowed my roommate's TV. This old Sierra TV weighed like 40 pounds, and I had to carry it up the stairs.
What we ended up with was a phone duct taped to a mic stand, pointed at the. I don't think we got a picture of it, sadly, but that's what we ended up doing.
Do you feel at this point you made a good choice yesterday to step and play that?
Absolutely. It's on brand for us.
I think it was one of the best nights of my adult life.
We got like a 12-pack of root beer, some Monster I felt like a kid again, I'll tell you.
It was great, yeah.
Well, let's get into like the music first of all. You've got a EP coming out, and I'm first of all really interested to hear how it felt to win 2 Bammys after you were only playing live like six months before that.
Yeah, that was I didn't think we were going to win. I didn't think we were going to even be nominated. So getting the name called for that first one was crazy. I kind of didn't even know what was going on. And then by the second one, it was kind of like, okay, like, all right, it was awesome. It feels great to be recognized in the Green Bay scene. I have a lot of love for the music scene in that town. It's a very interesting and fun community to be a part of, so just to be recognized among those people was kind of like a really fulfilling moment.
Where do you have the Bammys displayed?
Collin has one of them, and then the other one is at my parents' house right now above the fireplace. So
that's kicking around in my car somewhere, I think.
And the cool thing about them is the thing that had me most excited is that like the base of them is made out of their old record bins from the exclusive company.
Yeah, they put a lot of great work into
those. It's so cool.
Mm-hmm. They light up, too.
They light up, yeah.
As far as attending the event, did you get to meet a lot of people that you hadn't met before, that you knew from the scene, but never had a chance to actually talk to?
It was kind of 50-50. It was like, people you've seen around and kind of like, oh, hey, it's you. We should chat more. And then also just people that we've known forever. Like we went out for pizza before with our buddy Spencer and Slater Smet, 2 of my favorite musicians in the town, and that was great to hang out with them and then kind of go celebrate just everyone's achievements and stuff. It was like It was like when you're in high school and there's the award ceremony for like marching band or whatever at the end of the year is kind of what it felt like.
Dude, what I really love about it is that like it's Green Bay like celebrating itself, which is kind of like a funny idea, I feel like. But it's a bunch of people that you've like building a Green Bay show to me is what it is it's everybody hanging out with each other.
It really is.
And that's what the BAMMYs was, is everybody gussied up in their Sunday's best on a Thursday, hanging out at this venue that like we've all been to shows to before. So we're all just kind of like, hey man, what's up? How's your thing? When's your next show? Like, it's so much of that.
Yeah, it was a great just community event to kind of catch up with everybody.
Mm-hmm. How did Modern Haunting start? It seems like not to cut in, but it seems like at first it was just sort of putting some like a song out, another song, and then it just kind of snowballed.
Yeah, so it actually goes back several years. I lived in Nashville for a while, and I used to do this thing just to kind of like put stuff out where I would record a couple Halloween theme songs every year, and I think I did 4 EPs every Halloween season leading up to that, and I just put them out like on SoundCloud or whatever. And then leading up to what was going to be the next one in 2022, I was like, I kind of want to do an actual like song with lyrics and everything, and so I recorded this song Ghost in my room, and I was like, I'm just gonna put it out, I'll put it out under this name Modern Haunting that I had on a note in my phone for like a couple years, and people really liked it, which I was kind of surprised by. So then I was like, we might as well make this an actual thing. So I started recording some more songs and just slowly putting them out whenever, and then honestly just being involved in the Green Bay scene and going out to all these shows, I was like, I really want to play shows with these people. Like, these are all my friends. I want to play shows and play at these venues and stuff. So I kind of just asked Collin and Thomas and Jacob, our friend Jacob, if they wanted to do. It was just gonna be one show at first. We were doing this event called Slash Bash, which was like a horror movie themed thing on Friday the 13th. And then we just kept booking shows, and it's been going since then. So it wasn't like there wasn't a day that I sat down and was like, Modern Haunting is a band now. It just kind of snowballed.
You know what? Technically, our first show was, because Superfriends is in charge of a band called Carlo Champagne and the Balcony Brothers, this huge funk band from like the 70s and 80s. Yep. They were playing at La Vie as part of their like getting back together thing, and they're like, we don't want to play for 3 hours, so we offered as Modern Haunting to like, okay, we'll play a set as Modern Haunting you, and then we'll let you guys play or whatever. So that was technically, it was La Vie and De Pere.
Yeah, it was end of September of last year. So.
Yeah.
Well, how would you describe the music? Because it has elements of like 80s like dance stuff, and sounds like when you're starting out, you're writing it all yourself. Is Collin like helping now with the songwriting process? So Collin, I guess song style and then songwriting.
Yeah, so I like to describe Modern Haunting as it's like the Strokes if they had synths and were worse. I think that really sums it up pretty well. I write most of the songs, and then excuse me, Collin has written a lot of the guitar parts, and just when we work on stuff live, I take a lot of the stuff he does, and a lot of there's a song on the upcoming EP that has like a dotted eighth delay guitar line that basically Collin was like, I want to play this, and I was like, okay, I will write a part for you that does that. Thank you. But yeah, I'll write the songs, and then we'll work on them live, and then my recording style is very much like crunch mode. Like, I'll sit down and be like, oh, I have to finish this in a week because I have to get it uploaded, and then I just kind of bang everything out. But
dude, seeing you work on some of that stuff, and like
it's like you'll send
me a version, and then you're like 2 days later, you're like, here's the new version. It'll be like wildly like so much more has been added. I'm like, how, dude? Your process too. You're like, I can't wear pants when I record. Like, that's a big thing.
That's a little secret, but pretty much every Modern Haunting song you've heard, there's a good chance I wasn't wearing pants when I was recording it. It's just too constricting,
That's right. We're wearing pants right now. If everyone was, wondering.
Promise, we're wearing pants. Yeah.
Tyler Tolman from Sherry Lane. He said two of the best the music scene has to offer. That's.
I mean, Tyler's one of the best the music scene has to offer. I love that guy. I love Sherry Lane.
The energy that Sherry Lane has live, let me tell you, is inspiring. I'll tell you that.
Every time we play a show with them, it's going to be a good night.
It's going to be off the rails.
Yeah, we definitely look up to those guys in terms of just like stage presence and
in terms of rock and roll energy.
I actually go way back with Tyler. When we were in 11th grade, I think we were in music theory class in high school, and we had to like write a song and perform it for the class, and we did this really weird like spacey funk jam.
Oh, awesome.
I think the name of the band was Charlie and the Chocolate Experience or something of that nature.
Dude, one of the first shows I ever played live was with their old project, Tyler Tolman and the Sticks.
Yeah.
That was when I was in Stoplight Terror. That's right.
We're old.
Yeah.
We're old.
We're getting up there. 29, baby.
Yeah, and again, it's the day after your birthday, right? So it's just another notch on your belt.
It's been a fun birthday weekend for sure.
You got any more planned for it? Or you know what? We're gonna go to bed.
We're gonna go to bed. My mom's gonna help me screen print some shirts.
Lovely.
I'm glad that you came over here to celebrate with everybody.
That's great. Thank you.
So you put out a bunch of singles. You mentioned Ghost in My Room, and then you had American Dreaming, Terrified. So yeah, there's kind of a haunting thing going on, but then you ended up releasing a 5-song EP, and then did that EP, was that just you wanted to put out more? What was the reasoning for all of a sudden going from singles to I'm going to just put out an EP?
I wanted to put something out that was going to be kind of like the first thing that wasn't a single, but I didn't really have enough material for a full album, and I think when I inevitably drop the first album, like I want to spend a lot of time on it, but honestly what it was is we had this idea for Slash Bash, and then I was like, well, we need like at least 45 minutes worth of music, so I need 5 more songs at least.
That's the Superfriends way.
Yeah.
Book a show honestly, a month out, and then like, all right, we need 45. We got to write.
Yeah, it's pretty bad actually how many times we've written stuff like 3 weeks.
The day of.
Yeah, the day of.
Finishing lyrics.
But yeah, I don't know. I like the idea of like 5 tracks. Like that feels like a really good number to just like, if you've got a clear idea for an aesthetic for a project and you want to keep it tight, 5 tracks is good.
Well, so anyways, that came out. You've got a single coming out today. We're gonna world
debuting
premiere
it today. Yeah,
that's right, dude.
Yeah, Running from Near Dark, which is a song I'm very, very proud of, actually.
Yeah, one thing, and I could be wrong here, but you never released a single and then put it on an EP, or have you done that?
Yeah, I haven't actually really done that. I'm kind of weird about like how things fit together. Like like something like Terrified kind of felt like its own thing, you know, one song that its own thing. But for this, I think all of the songs kind of also stand on their own a little bit. So that's why I've been more open to kind of dropping them separately.
Yeah.
Well, this might be a good time to talk. Let's talk quickly about what Superfriend Productions is, because you brought it up a couple times, Collin. And for those that aren't familiar with what is Superfriend Productions?
Superfriend Productions really is an excuse for Charlie and I to hang out and drink beers at its heart and soul. But really what it is, ever since we started working together a little over a year and a half ago on the first Weezfest, we quickly realized that we worked astoundingly well together. Like, we both had that same kind of crunch time energy where, like, well, okay, let's do this thing. And then we're still, like, the day of, we're like, let's get a blue backdrop for this. Or let's put Weezer on, like, the backdrop so it looks like we're on the Blue album.
I think we've had to, like, instill a 4:30 p.m. cutoff for any new ideas.
Yeah, no, exactly. Well, even before we go up on stage, we're like, all right, we're going to do this. Like, we're going to take off the sweater halfway through the song or something.
We're going to walk on to an Eddie Murphy song.
Yeah. And then just, like, that energy of us working together, we're like, well, like, it started with Weezfest. It was like, wouldn't it be funny if we just covered the Blue album in Pinkerton and a few other, like, and just did only Weezer and charged tickets to it. Like, just how quickly that came together, we were like, okay, well, why don't we work on some original material? So, like, coming together and like writing songs, and we did Leslie Jacobs and the Nazareth Riders, which was like a wizard metal band under a country guys, and
it was an excuse to wear cowboy hats is really what it was.
Truly, yeah. Well, it got nominated for a country award or something like that. It didn't make it to the next round. It's like, that's not quite country, but it's just like how easy it is to work with this man, I tell you. So we do that, and then through the Weezfest process, we quickly discovered that we love making promotions for things having fun with that and just being silly,
I don't think you and I can like have a conversation for more than 2 minutes without at least one dumb idea coming out of it.
For sure.
And it usually starts with, okay, hear me out. It would be funny if blank.
XYZ, yeah.
And then the other person is like, it would be funny. Mm-hmm. And then most of the time we don't do it. But every now and
I'd
then.
say like 15% of the ideas make it to Final Cut, but the other 85 end up in like a Google Doc somewhere.
Yeah, a note on my phone that I forget about, and then you go a little further and it's like a grocery list.
You're like, it says in there, wouldn't it be funny if we wore cowboy hats, cucumbers, lettuce?
Yeah. Basically.
So, I mean, it sounds like Superfriend Productions is a nice vehicle for the projects, the many projects you guys are in. In Weezfest, I've heard that come up a lot with some of the guests. I know Tyler, when he was on the show, they talked about Weezfest. And so as far as doing Weezfest, has that been an event that's getting bigger and bigger? I know you did it at the Lyric Room at one point, and then you did it at Appleton Beer Factory.
Yep.
So as far as the venues, it seems like it's getting bigger and bigger.
I'd say so. I know that we're working. I don't know if it's officially been announced yet, but everything's on the table for one this coming up in May.
May 15th.
May 15th.
You heard it here
in Green Bay. Yeah.
Yeah.
We're just finalizing some stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, it was pretty crazy because I know the number that we threw around was if we can get 30 people to show up to this, it'll be a success. And there was that moment that night where it was like 10 minutes before the show started, and we were over capacity. And people kept coming in, and like Collin and I were standing at the merch table, and we looked at each other, and we were like, "Okay, I'm officially nervous."
Yeah, we're just goofing around, playing some Weezer songs.
Like you guys really paid money to see Weezer songs.
Also, Bammy Award-winning sound finalist. I'm not mad that I didn't win because I was up against two giants in the industry, Dan Collins and Steve Havlicek. Steve Havlicek ran the first Weezfest, so I was like, the lore still keeps going.
But we've got some big ideas for this upcoming, we're calling it Weezfest 2.5, but Weezfest 3 is going to be, we got some ideas kicking around. Yeah. Our goal is, I think the ultimate goal is by Weezfest 10 to have Weezer open for us.
Yeah.
I think that's doable.
I know you both went down to see Weezer at Breeze Field.
Oh, man.
In Madison. Was that the first time you guys saw Weezer?
That was my fourth time.
That was my first time, and their set list was crazy. It was like half deep cuts, and it was so good that it made me mad because I was like, that's better than any set list we could come up with, you know?
Legitimately. Yeah. There was like a point where you turned to me, they were playing, was it Run Raven Run or something like that? And you're like, Collin.
They played like my favorite song off of the Green album, which is like maybe 40 people in the world know it.
Yeah,
like
no,
it's
absolutely.
just a super deep cut, and I'm like, Collin, what are we doing?
What are we doing?
I don't know, man.
As far as the first two Weezfests, have you guys played a similar set list at each one, or do you try to do something different?
We try to at least do the Blue album because that's what like people I think love.
It's
It's the classic.
First one we did
so much fun.
Blue and Pinkerton, and by the end of Pinkerton, people were kind of like, okay,
I'm out of here.
and then second one we did a lot of just basically our favorite songs. We also did last summer. This isn't official, but I'm pretty sure we hold the world record for most Weezer songs ever played in one night because we did a 4-hour set with no repeats. Well, one repeat.
We did one repeat for our buddy Slater Smith.
Yeah.
And then we didn't even play everything.
Yeah.
We rehearsed. We ran out of time.
Yeah. I think we know more Weezer songs than is responsible for people to know.
Truly.
At this point.
Have you guys met the guy from Diet Light that did the
outside of Quick Trip?
On the way back from the Weezer show, we pulled into Quick Trip, and Diet Light was like getting out of their car, and we were like, "It's Diet Light," and they were like, and we were like, "We're Weezfest," and they were like, "Okay."
It is we're manifesting this. We talked about this 2 weeks ago. It's like, we're gonna play a show with Diet Light. We want to do a Weezfest in Milwaukee. And we're like, what do we got to do to make that happen? So we're kicking around this idea of 100 beers.
Yeah, we want to give them 100 beers to play a show with us.
Yeah.
I think that's a fair trade.
I think so, too.
Yeah. We'll see.
So we also have a podcast, which you guys talk a lot of Weezer on there as well.
Yeah.
And tell me a little bit about the podcasting and the videos and everything else. That's all through Superfriend Productions, isn't it?
Yeah. The podcast truly is the excuse for us to hang out.
Honestly.
We haven't uploaded it in a while, but we have like 3 episodes on the back burner that we're just waiting for the right time to drop. But yeah, I mean, that was another one of those things where like it would be funny and on brand for us to do a Weezer podcast.
Exactly.
And
well,
then,
there was the point where we were like, do we broaden this out at all? We're like, no. Focus exclusively on Weezer. We're going to listen to every album.
The good ones and the bad ones. And I think the
True.
better episodes are the bad albums. Like,
no, see, because with all the good ones, all we talk about is like, dude, this is awesome. This is so cool. This is great. And then the bad ones, we're just mad that we're there.
We're like, can we please skip this song? It's like, no, we can't. But, it kind of goes hand in hand with the promo video thing, which I think at the end of the day is what we enjoy doing the most, is just like these stupid... I mean, the first one was you in your home, like,
oh my God,
just rambling about Weezfest.
I just hit hit record and I talked for 2 hours, and then half of it is my cat meowing at me.
Yeah, and we still quote that to this day, in
dude.
conversation with each other, just to say it ain't so.
More like across the street.
But we just have fun coming up with ideas for those, and half of them are like things that feasibly we'll never be able to do, but like I don't know. It's really a way to see who can come up with the more ridiculous idea, honestly, at the end of the day.
Have you guys done any music videos for Modern Haunting? I don't know if I've seen any.
We have
We
not.
keep talking about ideas we have for
maybe
it.
someday. We'd have to like go to a haunted castle or something, and
We got to put ourselves in a Mario 64, and it just keeps getting scarier.
yeah, in the haunted house in Mario 64.
Oh, Booze Haunt.
Oh, good level.
Very good level.
So you guys have been playing shows for a short time as Modern Haunting. What was the best show so far?
Honestly, so we took the month of March off from doing shows, but the last show we did was at the end of February in Green Bay with two bands that I just love so much, was Hangouts and Horace Green.
Yeah.
And I will say wonderful things about Horace Green till the end of the day, and Hangouts. But Horace Green was one of those bands for me where it was like, if we can play a show with them, I'm going to feel like we're starting to accomplish some stuff. Because those guys work so hard and they play all over. And it was like, and we had to play after them. And I was like, I mean, Collin can attest, I was nervous.
You had a pseudo
scared.
meltdown on stage. I'm like, buddy, it's
Yeah.
okay.
Does that happen a lot? Like where you in your mind you feel like, oh, I'm not like as good as these people and I don't want to go on after them? Like, is that
all the time?
All
for
the
me.
time, yeah.
a lot of self-doubt?
Yeah, pretty much.
I'm good at running sound. I feel like, and that's about it. And I'm like, put a guitar in my hands. I'm like, I don't know how to play this thing, dude.
It's really this whole thing of like, we can't keep getting away with this. Like, we shouldn't be allowed to be up here right now. We're just making goofs the whole time.
You're right.
But yeah, that show was so much fun.
Well, that was the one where Jacob said, like, made his departure from the
Jacob
band.
quit the band like 40 minutes before our set, and I was like, can I walk on stage and say Jacob just quit the band? And he was like, absolutely. So we were like, we got to bring the rock and roll energy tonight.
We did. We were kicking around. We were jumping around. Couldn't hear my guitar for the first two songs, but it didn't matter.
Yeah. But like, that's also part of, I feel like this scene is so rooted in punk and like garage rock and stuff, where like, even though we're kind of a synth pop band, you have to have that energy about you, because that's how it translates, you know, in that live setting.
Well, Collin, you being a person with sound background, would you consider yourself more of a sound guy or a musician at this point?
It's so 50-50 right now, because like running sound originally was an excuse for me to basically see all the bands I wanted to see, and then I would go forward, and I had like a kind of like dry area where I wasn't playing a lot of shows, and I just like, I need to get back into playing shows and really just kind of get to my roots, because I started off as a musician, didn't play for a while, and so it's so 50-50 that I'm like, I approach each thing with the thought of doing the other thing. So like when I'm running sound, I feel like I'm a musician first, and I'm like, okay, you guys need to hear yourself, or else you can't play a show, right? Like, that's the biggest compliment I usually receive, is like, I can finally hear myself. Like, that's what I strive for. But then when I play a show, I feel like I'm a sound guy first. I'm like, brother, you're hitting the drums too
Everybody
loud.
in the band's probably leaning on you for your expertise as well.
At this point, yeah.
He will never admit it, but Collin is like, for other musicians, if Collin is running your show, you know it's going to go well. Like, he makes people comfortable when you see that he's running the show. But he'll never admit that.
It's all an excuse for me to... The whole thing is just an excuse for me to go see shows. I mean, from, like, my... Growing up in Green Bay, going to, like, Crunchy Frog shows, where if I couldn't get my parents to bring me, I'd be, like, sneaking in the back door and, like, be, like, just seeing so much great shows, thanks to, you know, like, Tom Smith, Tom Johnson, all the great booking agents in Green Bay.
Yeah.
Yeah, the two Toms, they come up quite a bit on this show.
I bet, yeah.
All the stuff. I mean, without them up in Green Bay, I don't know how I don't think the scene would be thriving as much as it is.
I don't think so. Well, you think at Green Bay, technically, if you're doing a tour route, you hit Chicago, maybe you hit like Madison or Milwaukee or something like that. But going to Appleton or Green Bay is so out of the way that you need somebody there who has impeccable vibes and is like going to make you feel at home there. Which is what I love. Like most bands that come through Green Bay, they're like, I didn't know this place existed. First off, dang, the cheese is pretty good here.
It's cold if it's that part of the year. But
right.
Do you find it harder to crack into the Appleton scene? Like you're.
You know what's weird? Appleton has been one of the most welcoming scenes I've ever been to. I mainly attribute that to moving into the train station with Levi and him introducing me to a lot of the contacts I have here.
That's right. You've been in syncing lessons, right?
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. Which that's coming off of they just got back from a vacation, so now we're booking some shows. We're doing we're doing it too as your Good Fest at River Forest Campground.
Oh, that's gonna be awesome.
Yeah, it's just like a campground up in kind of central-ish Wisconsin that is doing like a 3-day music festival with like Traveling Suitcases playing. Syncing Lessons is playing. Natural Satellite is playing.
Yeah.
Like a bunch of great bands that I know and love, and that is now becoming a nice blend of like Green Bay, Appleton, and Oshkosh, which I love.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad you brought up the train station as well, because there are a lot of places like that are making this, powering the scene behind the scenes that aren't exactly like up front getting all the credit for where we are. Mile Music gets a lot of credit, but really it's all these other places also doing it for the love of the game that are making the scene happen. I did hear about the camping thing and the Traveling Suitcase. Yeah, another amazing band. I mean, it's amazing. Unbelievable the amount of bands from this area that just cranking out all these great songs.
No kidding. It's like nuts. Unique. There's so many unique bands, like things you don't hear anywhere else,
And then it's funny because we're like trying to set up shows and we're sitting there like, who are bands that we know? And there's so many that we can't think of them in the moment, but then you see that they're playing a show and it's like, well, I have to be there.
Yeah, absolutely.
So are there any bands that you, besides Diet Light, that you would like to do a show with or collaborate with in the future?
Well, the Strokes is the big one.
The Strokes, yeah.
Because if we're gonna be the Strokes but worse, we gotta be on that show.
I think we're gonna offer them 200 beers for their troubles.
I'm putting this out there. I got 400 beers kicking around my garage right now, so let's talk.
Yeah. No, I mean I love Diet Light. They're definitely one of those bands that's like working so hard, and I just want to be friends with them. Honestly, they're so cool. But like at this point, it's just anyone. I'm just trying to get out there and meet everybody. And
there's a lot of good Minneapolis punk bands that I think we want to like start working with. Cindy Lawson is the first one that comes to mind. I absolutely love them. I would love to play with them.
Yeah. Do you find it hard to like book shows because your genre is so different? Like you mentioned punk bands, but I mean, some people have the mindset where it's like, well, they're more like synthy, pop. But
honestly, that hasn't been hard for us to get shows. What it is that like because we spread ourselves thin with like different projects, that like people in Green Bay and people who have seen us before know that when you come to a show, you're gonna have a good time. But when you're talking to a booking agent, they just see metrics. They're like, who is this gonna bring? Nobody knows them here. So like we played a show at a Bremen Cafe in Milwaukee. And that was the first show we played to an empty room. And
there was one guy there. There was one
guy.
That
was the door guy.
Oh, yeah, never mind.
And then he made more than we did.
He did. We went and got shawarma after.
Oh, my God.
We spent more money on the shawarma than we made. It was awesome. I think about that shawarma twice a week. It was so good.
It was,
Oh, my God.
Because we got there at like 2:30 or something like that.
We pulled into the train station at 10 after 5 a.m. that night. But it was worth it for the shawarma.
For the shawarma, baby.
Yeah. Oh, man, that was good.
So you got down to Milwaukee. That's good. As far as like a Horace Green, I know they're Neenah based.
Yep.
But you're kind of sounds like home basing out of the train station.
Yeah, so I mean, so it's funny because like I feel like we are Green Bay based. I think that we spent the most time there. But you live at like north of Green Bay, and I live in Appleton. But if you meet kind of in the middle, that's Green Bay.
It's downtown Green Bay, basically. Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah, I mean, I love the Green Bay scene, and I feel like at least Modern Haunting is kind of based there right now. But I mean, some of the other projects, like the shows we book for Carlo, I feel like that's very much an Appleton thing. And
I feel that one they did the tour in last December, and that was like the big goal for them
kinda
was
all
like
over.
they were on hiatus for like 25, 30 years,
Yeah.
and they're like, all right, we just got to start from the ground up again, basically. So we helped them, play in, and then when they play there, it's like that's a new venue contact for us, so like we can reach out to them.
But there's so many cool venues just around the Fox cities, and like they're all so close that because it's in different cities, it's easy to be like, oh, it's this scene, this scene, this scene. But like really, I mean, we go down to Cranky Pat's and Nina's, and it's like it's only like 40 minutes away. It's still the same scene, But
I think that's the biggest like goal we have is to like play with more bands and get more bands to come and play, like to integrate all these scenes, because we're all like on the same page basically. We're just trying to freaking play some cool music and drink some beers.
Just hang out and have a nice slice of pizza or something.
Well, let's talk about Near Dark.
Yeah.
That's an EP that's coming out. You released a single, and there's another single coming out today, so you'll have 2 singles out in a couple days officially. But how did you start recording this album? What was your process? Was it similar to the previous recordings?
Yeah, so it was pretty much right after the Friday the 13th EP came out, and that one was very kind of more on the lo-fi, sort of more guitars, a little more punk vibes to it, and then I was kicking around some ideas, and I said, okay, I want to do more synths, I want to do more like drum machine, sequencer, sampler, that kind of thing, and I went into it and I wrote probably like 15 songs for it, and then sort of started to refine and really kind of work on them until I had like a tight 5 that I really wanted to, and then that ended up being 4. But I sat down and I actually, it was called something different before, and then I was thinking about the movie Near Dark, and I was like, okay, well, the first EP is called Friday the 13th, so if I name this one after Near Dark, then it's a thing where they're all going to be named after horror movies. Yeah. And it's not to go back to the Weezer thing, but like you got the color albums, you got the horror movie EPs. I really like that thematically. And then, it was just, I mean, I was recording them slowly but surely, and then I just started putting a release date out there, like during shows. I was like, this is coming out on April 19th. And then it was, March. And I was like, okay, well, I have to record this now.
It's crunch time, baby.
Yeah, and it's out. It's coming out. It'll be out.
Going back a little bit, 2 singles is going to be the name of our memoir, I think.
Wow, yeah. Oh, it's true. It's true.
That or slowly but surely.
Or wouldn't it be funny if?
Yeah, pretty much. I think that's actually it.
Are you home recording these yourself?
Yep. Just in my bedroom. I'm not necessarily the audio whiz that Collin is, but I like to. I feel like if I have an idea in my mind of the aesthetic and just the vibe of it, I can kind of go from there. And that I'm much more a vibe person than like a technically sounding perfect person.
That's important.
Which it has its ups and downs, but. Half of it is just you got to put the right amount of reverb on your Lin drum, and then you're there.
That's the modern haunting sound.
That's the modern haunting sound.
For the rest of it, you can ask ChatGPT.
Yeah.
How to sound like modern haunting, and it just says play like the Strokes but worse.
But worse. Do a little arpeggiated synth thing, and you're there.
That's your producer tag at this point.
That is, yeah, it really is.
Do you guys think AI is going to kill the music business?
I hope not, but it's been helping me. Let me tell you that.
I mean, you can't kill 100 people in a room with PBRs being sweaty listening to a rock band. You can't kill that, but you can kill maybe like background music for a commercial about yogurt, which is a thing. So I think it's going to change things. Maybe, I mean, I'm optimistic that, okay, people are going to have to actually work a little harder to make something that's maybe an artistic statement, and not just this sounds nice in the background. So
I think the big thing too is like for me, like any project I'm involved with is this us being true to ourselves and like the vibe of the project or something like that. Like we usually like hone it, because when with having multiple projects, you kind of have to like define like what is this, and then like I was talking to you about Leslie Jacobs, and I was like, is it fine that this is a wizard metal band with like cowboy hats? And you're like, absolutely, that's what it is.
That just makes sense.
And I was like, I challenge AI to make that.
Right. Yeah.
Well, I noticed on the latest Traveling Suitcase single. I don't know if you've heard it. It's really good. They used AI to separate some guitar tracks from one of their previous band members, and they used it to re-record the new album. So, I mean, you've got AI stuff out there that can separate tracks, and it just it really, I feel, takes some of the creative control or some of the vision away from the artist, because now somebody can take that work, separate the album into stems, and then do whatever they want with it. So it's...
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, I think it's a tool, and with any kind of tool like that, you're going to find people who figure out how to use it in a really cool way, and then that just blows open the door for something different. So I think it's going to be maybe some murky waters for a while, but I think at the end of the day, people will be creative, and it'll be cool.
So who did your album covers? You're self-recording. Are you also doing the artwork?
Yeah, so the album cover for Near Dark is a picture I took when I was taking my trash out one night, and it was, get this, it was near dark outside.
Can't say that, dude.
And I thought the sky looked cool, but like my hand was shaking because it was cold out, so the picture ended up being blurry, and I was like, this is awesome, I'm going to use this. And then I actually do all my album art in Canva. I'm not afraid to admit
quite
that.
a tool, let me tell you.
You
become the real whiz at that.
Yeah. And then the Terrified single cover, actually, shout out to Sam, They Them Mayhem Inc. did the tattoo of it on me.
It's him.
But yeah, it's just, I like to keep everything DIY. I think it's mostly because sometimes I feel weird about like asking people to do stuff for me, because it goes back to that whole thing of like, maybe we don't deserve to be here right now doing this. But also then it's easy for me to, it's 4 a.m. and I'm not wearing pants and I need to get this done, I can just do it,
You don't gotta wait 2 weeks to get an email back or something, Yeah.
Have you released anything physical yet, or has everything been digital?
I had some CD copies of Friday the 13th, and I ended up giving a lot of them away, but I have CDs that came in the mail yesterday. I think it's going to have Near Dark and Friday the 13th and a bunch of the singles on it. We did a cassette release with Before Dawn. That's like a mixtape that's got 4 Modern Haunting tracks and 4 Before Dawn tracks. I think there's only like 10 copies of that left available, so if you're at a show where both of us are playing, those will probably be there. I'd like to do more cassettes. I really love
it's fun
that
honestly.
Format.
Yeah.
And half of our friends have cars that still have cassette players in and don't have CD players in. So it's you can go in their car and listen to it, and that's fun.
Do you think CDs will ever come back in style?
I think that someone was just asking me yesterday where to buy CDs. So I think they might be coming back in style. I don't know.
I think like anything is collectible,
Yeah.
Like, I think that like that's what tapes were for me for a while, and then like they started getting popularized again, and then it was harder for me to find certain tapes. And then now I feel like CDs are like on the up and up. Like I have a friend who has like the CD tower with like 400 CDs in it. And like that's a blast from the past for me.
I still have a huge box of CDs. I tried to sell them at one point, and like I brought them to whatever store, and they were like, we don't want any of these.
Like,
I'm
we won't give you.
Well, give me 5 years, and then you'll don't come crying back to me. So.
Well, where can people go to find out more about Superfriend Productions or Modern Haunting?
I think we're most active on Instagram
Honestly,
and Facebook, I would say. So we've got Instagrams for Superfriends and for Modern Haunting. The Modern Haunting one is also my personal Instagram, so you might just see me posting a weird picture of Collin or something. But
yeah, that's half of what it is.
Yeah.
Is we're at a show and you take a 0.5 zoom picture.
Yeah, but those are the big ones. You can hear all of the Modern Haunting music on all your streaming platforms, and I would say just follow
next
the
week too.
We're playing next week too. You can come say hi to us in real life.
Can you tell us a little bit about this single?
So this is Running, and it's one of those things that I just came up with the melody in my head, and it was there for months, and I was like, okay, I gotta get this down, and I really like that classic, triplet 80s drum beat. So I was like, we got to do a track that sounds like this, and it's just about feeling rushed and feeling like you have a million things to do, and then there's more things you got to do, and that's kind of a theme for the whole EP, is like that sort of anxiety of like there's so many things we have to do in so little time. But
that's a theme for our whole life.
Yeah, honestly, there's probably something there with all the Superfriends projects. But yeah, it's just about running around trying to get things done.
I love